On this episode, we're flipping the script on our Journey into Imagination series because this time, we're the guest. And this is part 2. Today's November 12th, 2024, and this is episode 719 of the Main Street Magic Podcast.
Jeremy and Rhonda are more than a little fond of Disney World, so they made this podcast to share it all with you. Reports and resorts, top 10 lists of all sorts, Main Street Magic's bringing it home for you.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Main Street Magic. I'm your host, Jeremy Stein, and as always, I'm joined by my lovely wife, Rhonda.
Hey guys! Make sure you check us out on the web at mainstmagic.com, as well as follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at mainstmagic, and on TikTok at MSM Podcast.
If you want to be part of the community and join the conversation, in addition to live streams from the parks and our weekly live show, head to Facebook and search for the Main Street Magic community and ask to join.
And don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you can get brand new episodes every Tuesday and Friday.
Planning a trip to Disneyland or Walt Disney World can be overwhelming and at times just downright frustrating. But don't worry, because Mouse Dining removes the frustration of booking Disney dining reservations, alerting you when they spot availability for your desired restaurant, date, meal, and time. Visit msmfriends.com to use this free service. MEI-Travel is your trusted source for any vacation destination and our preferred partner. They offer free vacation planning services and have nearly 20 years of experience creating memorable vacations. If you book your vacation package or cruise between November 1st, 2024 and December 31st, 2024, they will donate to Travel Elevates, an organization that enriches communities through education and economic empowerment. Visit MEI-Travel.com/Main Street Magic for a fee-free, no-obligation quote today. All right, we are back with our Journey into Imagination series, the last one for 2024, going out with a bang by having Rhonda and I be the guests.
Yes.
So if you're not here, part 1, go back and listen. We covered all kinds of things like our Disney background, the podcast origins, our inspirations for the show, favorite Disney memories and stories, and a heck of a lot more. Of course, we have joining us my digital brother from another mother, artificial Alan Stein Jr., Chat GPT and Descript created artificial interviewer with my brother's voice. So let's get back to the segments and back to the questions.
Time to take a look behind the scenes of Main Street Magic. What's something listeners might be surprised to learn about you or the podcast?
I think I'm an open book, so I don't know if there's anything
pretty open
to learn.
Yeah. This would obviously, for me, be a very different question 9 months ago. Because I don't know that listeners 9 months ago knew that I was an alcoholic.
No, I don't think so, because
and I held on to that one for a while.
Yeah.
So this would have really been a bomb. What if that was the one right now? What if I had waited all this time to be like, oh, by the way, that would have been interesting. I don't know if that'd be, I don't know. I do think we're pretty open books.
Yeah.
I will say, and we might get into this a little bit later, the show probably is not probably as put together as you might think when you hear. Like in a sense, like
that makes sense.
You know what I mean? Like this episode, even for example,
right?
There's so much that won't get heard or seen.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean?
We have dogs. Yeah. Amazon dropped something off. I had to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, like there's rare. Like I had to stop and work.
Yeah,
halfway through the first episode, like first part of this. Now, while what you hear on episodes, 99% usually of what you hear is exactly what happened with zero to no edits. But as far as what we're saying, almost every single episode has some form of interruption that we have to stop or restart.
Yeah. 100%.
This is stupid, but I think it's funny. So we've started recently video recording episodes to break down for social media, break down into reels and stuff like that.
Yes.
So I press record and it's separate. So my video recorder is different than the audio recorder. So I will hit record. Lots of times I've forgot to stop recording and it has recorded. It will stop it, I think, like 6 hours. So I've literally recorded us on video for 2 hours or an hour or two or whatever, sitting here talking, whatever.
And then
sometimes the show ends and then we kind of BS and we're just chilling or finishing something up. And then like 4 to 5 hours of just a black room. There's part of me that almost wants to go back to and just watch them and see if like we have a ghost or anything.
Oh my God, don't,
like,
because I will move out of this house.
we for the first people, we know nobody's died in here.
That's true.
Now,
but still,
we don't know what happened before they ever broke ground here.
Oh my gosh, stop.
Right?
Right now.
I mean, who knows what's underneath us?
Stop.
Right?
Cow
But
pastures.
Cow pastures were, we were
cornfield?
Potato fields.
Potato fields.
Yeah, this was all potato fields at first. But yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing is that, a lot of that stuff is, a lot goes on when you're trying to record.
Yeah.
So that's probably one of the things. But I think otherwise about us in general, I don't know. I don't think there's anything that would shock people.
No, I mean,
and we'll continue to say open books. I think it's part of.
Yeah, but I mean, yes, but also like I open book as if you want to ask a question or because I've recently said too, like to a few clients, like just depending on what is being talked about, and I'll be like, yeah, Jeremy doesn't drink anymore, and sometimes I'll just say it just like that. I won't even say it, and they'll like, I didn't even know he had a problem, and I'm like, well. Because sometimes I keep things quiet when I would go to work. That's not something that, you kind of check that stuff at the door. Yeah. Basically.
Yeah. I mean, I should be an actor.
Yeah, probably.
That's I don't know if that's a compliment or not. That you're like, well, I never knew Jeremy had a drinking problem. I'd be like, well, yeah, that's like an alcoholic's #1 thing is to be able to hide it really, really well.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I guess there is always that.
Do you have any pre-recording rituals or ways to get in the right mindset for each episode?
We should, because we do not.
Oh, we don't.
Like,
we just sit down.
Or
I usually go, what are we recording on today?
This is true. Once we hit record, this is my favorite thing in the world to do. Like, pretty much.
But period. Like you weren't going to.
Obviously not period, but.
Well, no, I mean like. I thought you were going to add on to that. Like, this is my favorite. I don't know.
It's one of my favorite things it's one of my favorite things to do in the world is sit here and record. Twice a week for an hour, I get to sit with the person I love the most and talk about the thing I love the most.
Okay.
Like, that's amazing. But getting up to that point is where I need a ritual. Like, and we both will do it. Like, we're like, all right, well, let's go. We're going to go sit down and record. We go, okay. And then maybe we might sit in here, and then you'll like start looking at Amazon or playing Magic Kingdom, and then I'll start being like, oh, let me set up this one last thing, and then I'll go get a soda, and then you'll go to the bathroom, and it's like 30 minutes until we actually hit record. And it is like such a delay. You would think we were getting ready. You would think it was like, all right, we're getting ready for your colonoscopy, and you're just like, well, let me see how long I can delay it. Oh, I really need to do this. I need it, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, you would think we were trying to delay the worst thing in the world, but it's not. It's weird. Like, and we have no ritual around that.
Right.
The times aren't the same.
No.
Sunday and
never.
Thursday usually is when we record.
Right.
But that can get thrown out of whack,
Depending
if we're coming back from Disney or we're gone on a Thursday or whatever. So no, we do not have a ritual.
No.
And we honestly probably do need one. But then I'm afraid if we implement one, will that change the show?
We could start praying before it. Like they do before surgery.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you could do that.
Like just to
say, give us a good show.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, we'll come up with some.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things we want to change up for 2025, implement, switch, all that thing. Maybe one of them is let's come up with the ritual. Like, even if it was just, maybe we put our hands in and say go team and chest bump or something. Like, that could be it. Let's do something like that.
Okay.
Maybe we start, we'll have like intro music. We can come in like
we're Rocky,
or we have like a pre-ritual meal. Like, let's LeBron this thing, right? Okay. Like, the day of a game, LeBron has very set ritual. That's why he's the best at what he does. Maybe that's why we're not the best at what we do, because we don't have a ritual.
Uh-oh.
The things you can learn from Mr. James.
What's the funniest or most memorable blooper you've had on the show?
So this wasn't a blooper because it made the show. We've got lots of bloopers, I think, and
I started saying, wow, you came out of that one.
You were with your family. Were you guys Colorado in the hot tub? with the
gosh.
woman who got in and out of the hot tub. And again, I want to get in details. You were able to, I don't remember, this was like years ago you told this story on the episode. I don't even know why. It might have been an episode about the top hot tubs. I think we ranked hot tubs. Possibly, whatever episode that was, way back years ago. And you told a story about a woman in the hot tub, and again,
in Colorado,
and just in a
bathing suit,
was not high
trimmed.
Just wasn't, So, and you told that story, and
the hot tub, the way you get in, you had to
swing a leg over. So you're telling this story, and I've never heard it. And we're recording the episode, and this comes out, and then there's this fine line between, this is a family show.
Yes, it is, and we always want children
and we
to
want
listen.
We do that, but it's understandable that sometimes you're going to toe a fine line. I mean, geez, 90% of what's on television today you couldn't show your dang kids.
That's true.
So we do want to be a family show, and that's why we don't curse. We try not to use even other like certain words or talk about certain things. But that one was where I'm sitting in my head like, can we say this? Like, can we do that? But I'm just dying laughing. It wasn't a blue. I mean, that made the cut.
Yeah.
It was hilarious. I don't think we have too many bloopers because we kind of just let it go. Like we laugh. If we.
It depends. I would say it. I guess I don't know if they'd be bloopers as much as in the beginning. I feel like Jeremy would have to sometimes I don't know if teach or lead me the right way, and then I'd have to like stop, and then I'd have to do it again, or we'd have to
restart or something. Yeah, we'd have to sometimes. Honestly, there was a question earlier in this. there was. I mean, it's not a blooper, but it's something that we had to cut. Was earlier one of the questions. I don't think you grasped one of the words in it about us when we realized we shared the passion for Disney.
Yeah,
and we answered about 3 or 4 minutes, and then you're like, "Wait, no, that's not it. That's
Yeah.
not right." And we started it again.
Yeah.
So sometimes things like that will happen, or you'll just lose it laughing. That's
And then a lot of times lately, Jeremy has put those in the very end where
I will sometimes, if we've got a good one.
Like, especially he'll start to, read his, or not read, but say his beginning and
I'll mess up like crazy.
Fee.
Yeah, fee free, no obligation quote for MEI-Travel kills me every
I laugh too.
time.
It just makes me laugh.
Yeah,
but
I almost half the time end up saying like fee, fi, fo, fum. And not on audio because anytime we have to break, I cut audio.
Right.
But I do not on the video. The video, so if sometimes there are mistakes or like the computer wants to shut or something happens, there are times that I will use words
Jeremy
that I would not
mad.
use for the show. Those could be considered bloopers. They are caught on video, but they will never see the light of day.
No.
Because this is a family show.
That's right.
Words like darn it and golly gee shucks. So stuff like that, we don't need that getting out there.
How do you decide on episode topics?
That is all Jeremy. If I ever come into it and try to do a topic, he's already got like a handful of things, and he's just like, I don't want to pick it, you do it. And then I'm like,
yeah, we have done that a few times.
But very like not even a handful of times, I think yet.
Yeah. I have a running Google Sheet calendar that has every episode we've ever done. It has the date, episode number, and title. And then I have on that same sheet, usually planned out somewhere between a month to 3 months worth of episode ideas or titles. 50% of those are then going to be based on what's coming up. For example, I can already tell you for the next 2 months, the content that you will hear, part of it will be a review of Jollywood Nights, a review of Chef de France with Josh Gad, some information when we go to IAPA, some information on a special thing we're doing that we mentioned at the end of the month, Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party, holiday fit. Like, so right there already decides 50% of our content because it's review worthy.
Right.
The other 50, actually, I'd say another probably 40% just comes from, no, I'm sorry, another 25% probably just comes from ideas off my head. You know, I might be sitting around and just all of a sudden I'll see, you know, we've got these little light up ray lightning bug lantern thingies from Tiana's Bayou Adventure. And I might see that and be like, top 10 sidekicks. And I'll put it in the sheet somewhere, right?
Yeah.
The other 25% come from listeners and other podcasts. You know, I mentioned before, like our whole Senses series was spawned off of Lou doing his favorite sounds in Disney. You know,
and you always give credit.
Yeah, and I always give credit. Or somebody might do like another podcast might do an episode, and I go, that's a great idea. We're going to borrow that idea. We're going to make it our own. We're going to let people know that they're the reason we're doing it. So that probably makes up the other 25%.
You did say listeners, right?
Yes, yeah. There's
because I started to say
that includes listeners and other podcasts. I started to say because I know often ask for listeners or
listeners is the best. Us.
Yes, they will. Yep, I'll get emails or DMs or whatever, and they'll just say, "Hey, have you ever done a show on this? And have you thought about it?" And sometimes those listeners will say, "We got a trip coming up in like 2 weeks," and I will put that at the front so that they can have the information they're asking for, even though it should help everyone. And then other times, I just add them to the sheet. Some of those are still out there. Yeah. So if you send us an idea, it's on the sheet.
Right.
And someday it's going to come up as it just plops into the schedule. And then as Rhonda said, sometimes those are determined by our moods. Yeah. You know, like sometimes I've had something ready to go and a day before I'm like, I want to do that one. Yeah. And then we come up with something last minute or we turn to Google or Chat GPT or whatever it may be. Yeah.
Yep.
How do you two balance your roles within the podcast?
Well, your role is co-host and in everything. Yeah, don't you think you're not just co-host in sitting here in a chair and talking? Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, you're obviously co-host in the marriage, you're co-host in the whole everything. You're co-host in everything, right? Even if you're not always completely involved. Rhonda's other role is investor. I will say, because if it were not for you, we would not do 90% of what we do at Disney. Yeah. Because of your job and everything. So, and you're letting me, you know, work on my dream and live my dream, which doesn't pay as much as your dream, which is, you know, to be a hairdresser. So yeah, you are the co-host and the financer, really. And then I do notes, social, and I'm the other co-host. And then when we are at the parks though, I mean, it's 50-50. Really? Yeah. I mean, it's 50-50 as far as we are both the ones that are getting that content that we're gathering. And a lot of times it'll be me that says we need to go live or we need to do this. Right. And the other 50% of the time it's you going, you know what? We need to go live or we need to do this. So, the role, I mean, the roles kind of just fell into that way. Yeah. You know, because of how much you work and how hard you work in your schedule, you couldn't take on much more. So it's not like I could be like, hey, Rhonda, why don't you take care of social media too? Nope. Yeah, you'd kill me or someone. So yeah. That would not be good. So we're not. Yeah. So really, it's kind of like we fell into the roles, but we're able to balance them that way. You know, Rhonda knows her part. I know my part. Yeah. You know, I know that I'm going to sit down and I'm going to get the notes and I'm going to pull all the info together. And then a lot of times I'm going to hand them to her. I'm going to have her look over them real quick. And she can add edits or do whatever. But for the most part, they're pretty good to go. And then as the episode goes on, we're able to adjust and add and do whatever. I mean. And
I felt bad in the past because I didn't feel like it was a balance because I felt like Jeremy was doing so much more. And I was, you know, like, do I need to do more? And you were always like, no. And I hate to be brutally honest, but I feel like you needed it when you were drinking, but now you're just, I mean, you balance it way like, I feel like you could take on my role. And I mean, you're just amazing at this now. And I'm like, I don't really feel like I do need to, I feel like it's finally in that groove of, yes, this is my role, your role, and we do both balance it.
Yeah. I mean, being podcast hosts together, while we are married, if we weren't, it's still a marriage in ways. You know what I mean? Like anything that involves teamwork between two people is much like a marriage. You know, you have to be able to balance things. You have to be able to give. You have to be able to take.
Right.
And so I think we do a good job of that, not only on the show, but in our marriage. And I'm trying to get to a point where I'm doing more giving. I think I took for way too long, you know, and so now I'm trying to give more within all of it. But same thing, like, you know, if you all of a sudden were like, you know, Jeremy, every Monday, like Lacey's working for you on Wednesdays after school. If you said, Jeremy, I need you Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday from 5 p.m. until I'm done to come help me out and sweep and do laundry and wash hair and whatever the things that Lacey's doing, I would do it 100%. Not that I would want to, but I would do it.
I
you know
don't
what
know
I mean?
if you'd be very good at it.
Are you questioning me on laundry?
No, not on
'Cause
laundry.
I do all of ours.
I
I'm
know.
quite good at it. I
like
hate folding clothes.
Washing people's hair.
Oh, no, couldn't
talking
do it.
to them.
No touchy. Don't want you to touch me. I don't want to touch you. Okay? Do not want to put my hands on another person other than Rhonda. And if you're listening and you're a friend, I'm perfectly fine hugging you, and I will hug you every time I see you.
But he don't like it.
I'm not a hugger. I'm not. One of my I'm not going to say her name. You'll know who I'm talking about. I'm trying to find a time to see her soon because we have not seen her in a very long time. I remember the time for some reason she said, you know, I'm not really a hugger. And we stopped hugging. And I was like, oh, thank God you're not. Because there's an awkwardness sometimes.
Yeah.
Now, I expect it. You know, don't worry. Chuck, Amy, when we see you here soon, we are hugging. You know, Jill, Steve, we are hugging. We're going to see them soon. You know, yeah, any of those folks. Rachel, you know, hugger. Like all those people that we get to see all the time, we are hugging. But I'm not a fan of hugging. Unless it's Rhonda. And then even half the time, if you come to hug me out of random, I act like a stranger.
You kind of
ran
do.
up on me in the middle of Publix.
You kind of
like, what has happened? Who are you? Why are you hugging me? I'm awkward about it.
I did
very,
last
very awkward.
night.
You did, and I didn't know how to receive it. Yeah. I was like, what is happening?
I was very happy.
Yeah.
The girls we were all as a family. That was
four
a
of us.
great.
It was amazing.
It was a great
four
last
of us are
night.
never around anymore. So yeah, that was great.
Have you ever had an episode or topic that didn't go as planned? How did you handle it?
We've scrapped some stuff.
100%.
There have been shows that there's a couple in particular. We did an entire show and afterwards scrapped the entire thing.
I just started. That's why I was laughing because I'm like,
either re-recorded it or just was like, that was a dumb idea, and we just completely got rid of it. And never did it again. Yeah, and never bothered with it.
yeah.
But
Or if you ever sit back and there's been times you're like, I don't like this, and I'm just
Yeah.
like, okay,
Yeah.
okay, and then we've stopped kind of halfway through, and then we've sometimes picked a different topic.
yeah, there's talk about behind. There have been times that I just have to get up and walk out for a little bit, and we learned this recently. There's a recent episode prior was that I didn't realize how much I feed off you.
Yeah.
Because you weren't in a great mood.
No.
For whatever reason. And
I don't
we sat
remember
down
why.
and you didn't have much energy like you normally do.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I can't do it. I can't do this.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how much I need your energy to give me energy. And then you were like, well, you don't have energy right now. How am I supposed to have energy?
Right.
And I'm like, I don't know. What do we do? Like, and we were both just energyless for that
Yeah.
moment. So got up, walked away, took a bunch of deep breaths. You know, that's how we handle it. And just said, all right, when we're in the right space, let's get back down. Because
Right.
you know, as I said, there's not there aren't many things I love more than sitting here and doing this,
Yeah.
right? But there are a lot of times I do not want to do this.
No.
You know, I do not want to sit down and record.
Yes, there has been multiple times where
And
this almost probably ended.
probably, and most of those times I did not want to do a disservice by recording anyway, so we didn't.
Yeah.
Or we put it off, or we or whatever.
Right.
Because while I could be in a pretty foul mood, as soon as I sit down, if you're giving the energy, I'm going to be okay.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of times that I just don't feel it, and I don't want to give anything but our best to people because it's not fair.
Yeah.
You know, it's just not. I wouldn't expect anyone to give us, less than their best. And I honestly would rather not have an episode come out on a day than put out something that I wasn't proud about.
I agree.
Let's look to the future of the podcast. What are your goals for the future of the show? And where do you see the podcast in the next few years?
Would you like me to take this?
Yeah.
What
sure.
about you? What do you think?
Well,
like, what do you What are your goals? You have to have some because, again, as much, because that is still the balance
My
of
goal,
our roles.
My goal is always to try to find the positivity and be positive.
Mm-hmm.
That's always my goal.
You always just want to be positive. What about like where the show
I'm just saying, like,
goes,
you're
or,
like any time, that's just a goal that I have. I don't ever want to like.
That's a great one.
It's
Not even future. Yeah. That's past, present, future. You've always been the spark of positivity. You're my one little spark.
Oh, thanks.
Of inspiration.
Where do I see the podcast in the next few years? I, through the years, have learned some patience, obviously.
You have to. You're married to me.
Yeah. And there has been numerous of times, here's back to the surprise, maybe. Surprise. I felt like we just need to give this up.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to stop. We need to focus on other things. We need to, every single time that happens, or I think it, or I feel like God taps me on the shoulder and he's like, just wait.
Because of something that happens, you mean? Like about the show, where all of a sudden you're like, oh, this is why. You mean like, I want to quit. Oh no, this is why we're doing it. Like that type of thing. Like we get an email, or we get a meet someone, or whatever. Like that.
One
of
the biggest things was I had my Main Street Magic shirt on, and was talking to a cast member, and he looks and he goes, Do you know them?
I remember that.
And I'm like, I am Main Street Magic. Yeah. And he was like, oh my gosh, I listen. And and that was one of God's taps. I'm a
keep going, right?
Yeah. I'm a person that usually I need a big old sign. I need like to be hit on the head. Yeah. Like somebody taps me on the shoulder. I'm like shooing it off. Like just get away. There's been little taps in my life that he's like, just hold on. And,
little,
God winks.
Yeah, I was gonna say God winks. Yeah.
I don't know what the next few years holds, but I know our children are getting a little older, and they're gonna be gone.
Mm-hmm.
And
then the show just blows my.
I'm tearing up a little bit because I'm excited, and I think that's what God's like. Just hang on.
Yeah.
Hang on.
Yeah. Keep going.
So we'll see. I don't know. Only He knows, but I am excited for the next few years. I don't have. I don't know. I can't say where I see it, because I might want to say where I see it, but then if it's not the right time, it's not the right time.
Yeah.
And I've learned that.
Yeah. I mean, my goal is for it to keep growing.
Oh, of course.
Again, if you told me 1 year ago that I could tell you today that MEI-Travel is our preferred travel partner, I'd have been like, no, they're not.
Yeah.
Like, that was big for us, and that relationship, and getting to know Becky and all these incredible agents and all, like, that's the type of stuff that if you had said a year ago, what's your goals? That would have been a goal.
Oh, 100%.
You know what I mean? So now it's like, okay, now we got to set the next one.
Right.
So we'll, the show's not going anywhere, but you guys, like every quarter, if you just want to kind of give Rhonda a nudge, just in case she's feeling like it's time to end, it's on you guys now. It's all you. So whether the show goes on or not, that's up to the listeners from now on. No, I do agree. There's, I want it to just keep growing.
Yeah.
And if that means financially, sweet, that would be great.
Mm-hmm.
We could use it. But if all it means is listeners and followers and friends, that's okay too.
Yeah.
But we're probably going to need both. So we will continue to do everything we can to bring you the absolute best that we can, but also figure out how to continue to grow not only the way that the show is and evolves and the content and the relationships and partnerships and all that, but also on that kind of financial aspect. And that's much more of a behind the scenes goal. Like I would never sit on here and say, my goal is to make X off of this.
Oh,
like we would never say that, and we will never tell you what it is if it comes around, probably. But there will be signs. It'd be like that one. I would never tell people that I won the lottery, but there will be signs. It's like Cinderella Castle on in like a neighborhood. You know what I mean? Like that would be us. But so I mean that is the goal: continued growth, and we'll just keep on trucking with this show. So.
With so many exciting changes and new offerings at Disney, How do you plan to evolve your podcast content to keep it fresh and engaging?
Well, I think with this one, for me,
this is it, right? This is fresh and engaging. I
well,
hope.
and that's where I was just going to say, I mean, I feel like the question almost answers itself because it says with exciting changes and new offerings at Disney.
Yeah.
Boom. There it is.
I know that. Yeah. You want to go back to the question about how do you figure out content? So many times,
Right.
Disney leads our content.
Yep.
You know,
There's
by
just-
what they're doing.
Yeah.
we
So
go
many new
review. Yep.
things, so many things that we're like, all right, you know, and, you know, we're always try to look for, and then from y'all, of course, you know, if you're like, this is getting boring, you know, let
Yeah.
us know and
Yeah.
say, hey, can you switch it up? Can
Yeah.
you do this? Can you, I mean, I don't know, like,
How can we freshen
yeah,
it up?
how can
Yeah.
we? Does somebody want to come on once I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, it's just,
Yeah, I definitely
but-
guess is always something that I want to do more of, and I want to do it with you and I both. That's something that we've talked about a long time, and a lot of the reason we don't do the Journey and Imagination series is because of scheduling. Another part is it is just so hard to interview when you're two people and it's not your profession. You know what I mean? It's very hard.
Yeah.
It's also very hard when I talk too much. So and don't give Rhonda a chance during an interview with a guest. I'd like to do that. I would like to do more in park podcasting. I think like
Yeah.
we kind of did with the 700th,
That was cool.
or also doing more from a live standpoint. At some point, I would love to do. You know, whether it was weekly or it was a monthly episode that was literally like a live call-in show where listeners
Yeah.
could actually call in
Yeah.
and, you know, and ask questions and we could converse with listeners like in the moment.
Right.
And I always want to try and add to production value. You know, a couple months ago, we went to a partially preset recorded intro. You know, with a little bit of fancy background music. And that's what we tell you. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you follow, you know, check out MEI-Travel, our preferred travel part, all those types of things. You know, that used to be, I read it every time. Now it is
Yes.
pre-recorded. And I tried to add a little bit more, you know, production value
Pizzazz.
to it and pizzazz, you know. I've been tempted to do that because I don't want to turn into like a morning radio show. You know what I mean? That has
Yeah.
like wacky guests and sounds where every time you say something, it goes woo woo or some crap like that. Like I don't want to get into
I do that.
Yeah, you do it on your own. You're our soundboard. But I do want to entertain the idea of what are ways that we can have a better produced show, a more high quality show.
Yeah.
You know, whether that is through equipment, whether it is through changes like that, whether it is through saying, you know, we're going to break up every single show in the middle with a certain segment, like whatever it may be. We just constantly want to try and evolve. But as Rhonda said, a lot of that comes to y'all. What you want, that's what we're here for too. So you throw us
I would
idea.
say ask and you shall receive. But,
Yeah, except for Chuck Frazier. No, I'm kidding. That's why I say I put the question on Facebook because we are going to obviously, you know, again, you got to listen to the end of the episode. You got to make it all the way through our outro music, which why wouldn't you? It's so catchy. I love
Is
that
that the-
theme song. Yeah,
is
theme
that
song.
the,
Yeah, Jeremy and Rhonda.
Rhonda?
Yeah, you got to hear the whole thing, right? And then we're gonna have bonus listener questions and answers at the end of these two episodes. And as soon as I put that on Facebook, I got a group text with it's me and Rhonda and Chuck and Amy said, "Do you really want Chuck to ask a question?" Because we know he's gonna throw something smart the way. He does have a question coming up, and it is
it's a
quite sincere. It's gonna. Yeah,
It's gonna bring the waterworks.
it's gonna be. I've saved it for last.
I know.
We'll just say that. So
I
thank you
know.
for that. Thank you for that, Chuck.
How do you see the relationship between your podcast and your audience evolving as you continue to share your experiences and insights?
I'll let you take this one.
So I think one of the major ways is through Main Street 16.
Yeah.
Is a way that I want to build
Yeah.
relationships more with our audience,
Yeah, that
but
is a good
the
one.
community. And that's not just the community on our socials and in our Facebook group, but the Disney community, the
Yeah.
Orlando community. I'm really putting in the back of my head what types of things we can do to better serve the community, whether that comes down to doing, you know, I don't know, can I help people through addiction? Can we help
Right.
people through, you know, some of the things that are going, you know, we've got 2 daughters, you know, there's a lot of things that I want to find ways to get more involved with the community and Orlando in general and the theme parks to help. And I think that can build a lot of relationships. 90% outside of work, obviously, especially for you, because you're talking to people all day, 90% of our daily interactions via text, sometimes phone or social, are through this community, that has created itself around Main Street Magic.
Yeah.
If you look at the last 10 people or group texts in my phone, 8 of them most likely are people that we met through the podcast.
Yeah.
And I want to continue that, because what a great icebreaker, right?
Yeah.
Do we have anything in common? Yeah, we love Disney. We do too. Let's go. And we found that.
Yeah.
So, and we have friends around here, but it's crazy that, these people that we've met through the podcast, I mean, really, there's a lot of them that fall right up there with people that I've known, like Rob and Tina, for my entire life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's almost like they're on the same level, and that's crazy to me. Like, who would have thought that? I mean, there's, one of my best friends in the world I've met in person once, and he lives in Scotland.
Yeah.
And it's such an important relationship to me.
Yeah.
I just want to keep building those.
Well, we need to get our passport so we can go
We
see
do.
him.
We need to get our passports. Let's do it.
Okay.
Let's get our passports.
Okay.
No, seriously.
Okay.
Let's do it. We keep saying. What's the
Let's
first
do it
thing
right now.
What's the first thing I'm going to show you after this episode?
That's weird thing between the robots.
Yes, thank you, because I couldn't remember. Second, let's go ahead and apply for the passports.
Okay.
Because I also do not want an opportunity, one that Jess presented to us recently, when she found like $179 round trip flights to Scotland, and we couldn't go or even think about going because we didn't have passports.
Oh. Okay. All right.
When travel advisor extraordinaire Amy Fraser
Yeah.
comes to us and says, like, all of a sudden, hey guys, there's some killer deal, or hey, let's go do this, or there's an opportunity, and if we couldn't go, I would kick myself for the rest of my life simply because we didn't have a passport. So
Okay.
let's do it.
Okay.
What are some of your dream collaborations or partnerships for the future, and how do you envision those enhancing the podcast experience for your listeners?
I've got a lot. Well, collaborations is different than guests. I've started an extensive list of people I would like on the podcast next year. Some that are quite attainable, and some that if you saw it on the list, you'd figure I'm losing my mind.
Hey, what's that saying where you put
I'm going to break out a story I don't think I've ever told.
Oh.
We almost had one of the biggest guests ever on the show. I had communication not only directly with her, but with her assistant.
Oh yeah, that's right. We sure did.
And this was like,
that was amazing.
This was within probably the first year or two. So I had finally watched Hamilton. No, actually, so this would have been right around COVID, because that's when Hamilton came to Disney Plus. So I finally watched it, and I then afterwards, after I'd watched it several times, there was a documentary, basically like an interview thing with Robin Roberts as the host, and it was all about Hamilton and behind the scenes with Lin-Manuel and all this stuff. And I tweeted about just how incredible it was. I said, we got, Artificial Alan here. He's a pretty good interviewer. Robin Roberts is as good as they come.
Oh, yeah.
As far as personalities and everything go, as far as inspiration, I mean, it's what that woman has been through.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when you think about what she's been through, she's got to be one of the most powerful people on the planet from that stance. And so I had just tweeted it out, and I tagged her in it because I do that type of stuff, and she responded to it. And I'm like, wow. And then the next thing I see in my notifications is Robin Roberts followed you.
Yeah.
And she actually might still to this day. I'd have to go back and look. And so I was like, oh my goodness. So once somebody follows you on Twitter, you can send them a DM. So I was like, I'm not throwing away my shot. Thank you. And I listened to that whole soundtrack from beginning to end yesterday, amidst the height of elections and such. And so, so I sent her a DM, and I was like, hey, I do this Disney podcast, and she's obviously very Disney, got to start on ESPN and all, and so I was like, is there any chance you could come on? And she said, I would absolutely love to. here's my assistant's name, here's her phone number, here's her email. You get in touch with her and she'll set something up. And so I started the process, and I emailed back and forth. And it was so funny, the assistant, so actually now that I'm remembering, this was during COVID because the assistant was at home. Robin was at home. There was nobody in the office. And I had actually asked, I said, could I please send you guys a copy of my brother's book? And she said, basically, she was like, I'm sorry, we can't accept anything right now because due to COVID. You can't ship it to the main office. There's nobody's there. And we can't give you our addresses. And with everything going on, we aren't comfortable receiving stuff from somebody we don't actually know.
Right.
Made sense. But the assistant's dad was actually a very, very famous baseball player as well. And so I started communicating with her back and forth. We traded several emails. We were trying to get everything going. And then everything just really kind of fell to crap. And, the assistant ended up going somewhere else. And I kind of lost the communication. That was one. Another one. I may try again. Garrett Clayton. So from Teen Beach Movie.
Yeah.
Plays Tanner.
Yeah.
Teen Beach Movie 1 and 2 are some of my favorite guilty pleasures of all time.
Yeah.
Love them. And I love Garrett Clayton. We were at Hollywood Studios. We were with Kat. We were with Kaylin. He was there on, I can't remember if this was exactly his honeymoon, but he was newly married. He and his husband were there.
Yeah.
And we spotted him in Hollywood Studios, and we went up and talked to him, and he was as nice as could be.
Oh my gosh.
About a week later, I hit him up on Instagram and said, I would love to have you as a guest. He said, here's my email. Gave me his email. I emailed him, and I didn't hear back.
Yeah.
So as far as like things that almost happened, I think that was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Collaboration wise, this partnership and collaboration with MEI-Travel is an absolute dream come true.
Yes.
They, for 20 years have been, the name, I feel like, of travel and Disney. They're the most incredible organization. And Becky is one of the most incredible humans you will meet. Same with Lou. And I really hope that in the future we can have some collaborations with the likes of a Lou Mangello. There's so many wonderful folks I met at Momentum.
Mm-hmm.
I would look for some collaborations coming there. If you remember from our conversation with John Self, I didn't tell you this yet, what I think we're going to do. We had talked about doing a mocktail crawl through Disney Springs.
Yep.
And so one of the collaborations we're going to do, and I think we might actually do it on the Saturday of the Main Street 16 Challenge, because we don't race and we want to have something else to do, is do a group mocktail crawl around Disney Springs. It'll be hosted by myself, John Self, and my new friend Sean Robertson, who has a new podcast coming called But Mostly Disney.
Yeah.
But so we're going to look at collaborations and stuff like that. I think just any opportunity. Scott and Michelle and the Main Street Mouse, we're always looking for ways to work with them and collaborate with them. And I think a lot of those will come. But I think those are truly my dreams. The list of guests that I hope to get,
mm-hmm.
like I said, are some that I know we'll get, and some that if we get, it could change everything.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see how that goes.
Okay.
Finally, my last set of questions reflects back on the last 7 years. How do you think Disney has shaped who you are individually and as a couple?
Wow,
we're a Disney couple.
One.
We're a Disney family.
Yeah.
So much of everything that we love revolves around Disney.
Yeah.
So something else would have, I wouldn't say Disney's brought us closer. I think we've always had a really great, close relationship. And that starts when, for basically the first several years, you only get to see each other a couple times a year because you live in completely different states, and you have to date long distance for a while, and then you have to move down here and give up your entire life, and then go, come to think of it, I don't know everything about this person, right? And so I think Disney has shaped a lot of what brings us together, but if it hadn't been Disney, it would have been something else.
Yeah, I think
I don't even know that much it was needed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We hit it off from the moment we met, pretty much.
Yeah.
So
100%.
I don't know if it's had to shape us. Has it shaped you individually anyway? Do you? I know you love to point to your Let It Go tattoo, and you use it as a reminder not only for yourself but for other people. Sometimes you will have to say to other people, "Hey, let it go.
Let it go.
Let's let it go." And we're usually part of that. But are there any other ways? Are those the lessons? Are those things that you feel like you've learned?
Maybe. I feel like maybe I'm a happier person, or I try to be.
It brings a lot of joy to us.
So
yeah, it does. You know, and if you want, you can say what you want about Disney adults, what you think of them, what you think they are, whether you are one, whether you aren't one. Man, if something brings you joy, enjoy it.
Yeah.
Right? Disney brings us joy. It makes us happy. You know, I can tell you right now, my mind with everything that has been going on is so ready for next Friday.
Yeah.
And I know we were just at Disney. And you guys, I know we're very thankful. We are so privileged. We are so blessed. We are so lucky.
Mm-hmm.
But like for me, that brings a smile to my face. Every morning I go and I change our countdown clock to our next Disney trip.
Yeah, you do.
I've currently got a countdown board for Disneyland.
Yep.
And I can look at those and they just bring a smile to my face. And sometimes that can help shape my day. And I think it certainly shapes who we are as people.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I think we're even more, I don't know if this will sound good about it. I think we're better people because of our relationship with Disney as a whole, between movies and parks and cast members and friends and the podcast and all of that stuff. It has certainly enhanced our lives and created a lot of who we are.
Yeah.
What has been the most rewarding part of sharing your Disney experiences with listeners?
Well, I would obviously say all of the great people that do reach out and say thank you and say they had a great trip, or because of us they went here and it was wonderful. Anytime somebody comes up to us in a park and is like, Rhonda and Jeremy, and if you like are hesitant or like maybe I shouldn't, just do it. Like, it's fine.
That's the most rewarding thing in the world.
I love it.
Having somebody tell you what you're doing makes a difference to them is the most rewarding thing in the world.
Yep.
Even, I mean, same thing. If you do somebody's hair, you know, you got Christmas coming up, you have a lot of people that'll come in, they'll get their hair done for, you know, their company Christmas party or the one that they're hosting or whatever they're doing. And when that person messages you the next day with a picture and it's like, thank you, everybody said how amazing I looked or my hair, like, those are the most rewarding things in life.
Yep.
You know, that, and then the friendships and the relationships.
Yes.
You know, I mean, it's like, it's insane to me to think that there's these people that have watched like our kids grow up. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I mean, when you talk about somebody like Aaron, you know, the girls were what, maybe 7 and 9 or something
so.
when we met him, and he's watched them grow up,
Yeah.
you know, our wonderful friends like Athena, you know, like, I mean, they've been such a huge part of our family and everything, you know. I remember during COVID, once a month, we would get a handwritten and a hand-colored and drawn postcard from Athena in the mail. Mm-hmm. And it was like the best thing in the world.
Yep.
You know, and all of that is because of the Disney experiences.
Yep. 100%.
How have your views on Disney, the parks, and the magic they offer changed since you first started the podcast?
Let's see. I would say the views have changed where I'm going to have fun, but there's a reason behind it. There's a work behind it. Mm-hmm. But it's still, I mean, it's still good. And the magic is always, the magic is still there.
It is.
But I think I said it when we were talking about the Mickey's Not So Scary party, and we were going to go down there, and we were going, and I had no thought we were going to get to go to the party. And I was not excited waking up. I was not excited because I thought I was just going to get some information for y'all, you know, and we were just going to go about our day, and it was still going to be an adventure. Cause that is what I feel like lately we have been doing, but,
adventure is out there and we are finding it.
Yes, we
sometimes
are.
on purpose, sometimes not so.
Yes. But, and I think I never said it out loud to you, but I did think it, like, I'm like, this is the first time ever that I'm like, all right. Like I'm kind of, I don't want to say burnout. I don't want to say, but I don't know. It was just kind of like, I was like, oh, I don't really almost care to go.
Yeah.
And then again, and that might've been my God wink too, but it was literally getting to go. Like, I was just like, oh my God, the magic. Like,
yeah. Cause when we got the Halloween tickets,
so it's just there. And it always is. It always is there to offer, and you just gotta look for it, and you gotta find it. You always gotta look at the silver linings, and that's what I try to do, and that's. I mean,
your nickname could be Silver Lining because you always do find it. Yeah. You're always the light. I mean, I think, obviously the way we do the parks is very different from when we started, where when you started, it was very much about, we got to do this, we got to do that. Or not even we got to. It used to be I want to do. I'm not going to say it's I have to do, but it's I get to do. You know what I mean? So, because I like to, it's very cliche. It's very, I feel like Tony Robbins to be like, don't say you have to do something, say you get to do something. And it's true. Like, we have to review certain things, but I think of it more of that word switch of we get to do them. Whereas it used to be wanted to, like, it was like, we did everything because we wanted to, not because it was driven by content.
Right.
And now so much of what we do is driven by content.
Right.
Or it's driven by the fact that we've done so much and we go so often that if we go one day and we're like, you know what? I don't really want to do anything. I just kind of want to walk around or maybe have a snack or maybe go to our favorite place to eat or go hang out at Three Bridges for the night or, whatever it is, like we can just do it. Whereas when the podcast started, we can now.
But if we go to one of these places and there's something new.
Working. Yes, but
we still.
But I'm saying, we can still take that relaxation of doing it. Yeah. Whereas when we first started the podcast, you almost wouldn't even think about going, well, we can't go back to that place. We went last week.
Oh,
we've already done that. I want to see new stuff. I want to experience. But it was experiencing for our own personal joy as opposed to feeling that we needed to experience it for content.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so.
Because I didn't know if it did or not.
Is there a specific Disney experience or memory that you've shared that really captures the essence of what Disney magic means to you?
All right. So what number is this for Kaylin going up to
3 or 4?
Mickey and kissing him on the nose.
The course of both episodes.
Yeah. But yeah, that memory of Kaylin running up and meeting her star as she watched, this character on TV, and then she gets to meet him in person. That was the essence of Disney magic. I mean,
mic drop.
It was. Another one was when the girls were little, Mickey's very busy, and sometimes we would help him out by leaving things in the room for the girls that they
were from Mickey.
They were from Mickey.
Just needed our help delivering them.
Yeah. So with that being said, they tore into some costumes when it was Galaxy's Edge and everything, I believe. And I don't know if it was Galaxy's Edge, but the Star Wars.
Okay.
Remember the Star Wars where they had Rey?
Yeah, they're dressed as Rey and Leia?
Yes.
Yeah, this was pre-Galaxy's Edge.
Okay.
They were much, much younger.
Okay.
Yeah, we went to Hollywood Studios, though, because you still had...
you still had Star Wars.
You still had Star Tours,
yeah.
and you still... at that time, you had the show. And you had the Jedi training. You had all that type of stuff.
And this was around Christmas.
Yes, it was. And Kaylin went as Rey.
Yes.
And Lacey was Princess Leia.
Yes.
With the wig.
Yep.
And...
the air buns.
Ear buns. What do you call them? Ear buns? Yeah, like cinnamon buns, right? On the side of your head? Yeah. Everything. It's amazing.
She did. We were walking around, and I don't remember where Jeremy was.
Oh, yep. I totally know what you're talking about.
There was a guy.
Sunset Boulevard, right outside of the Starbucks.
Yep. Walking around, and he saw the girls, and, in most any other place, I'd have been like, what the heck are you doing? Get away from my children.
And we were right there. And we were right with them, next to them.
Yeah, but still, he was basically... this guy that had a bag and pulled out toys of his bag and gave them to the girls. Yeah. And I just
looked
a little
like Santa.
He sure did.
But that's what he did. He was older. I don't think we got into a big conversation with them, but I was under the impression, I believe, that he had lost his wife or something. And
he comes to
Disney.
Oh.
Yeah,
and it's just
hands out toys to kids.
Yeah,
and
so cool.
And that, I think that shows the magic that Disney can create.
Yep,
because that wasn't a cast member.
Correct.
That was a guest.
Correct.
We've thought about that. It's a lot harder. Like we used to, a lot of times we would carry a whole lot of extra pins in our bag, and we've carried extra things in our bag. But I do think, unfortunately, now with the way that society and everything in the world is, it is very, even at Disney, it would be hard to just randomly walk up to children and be like, here.
Right.
So you gotta be a little careful with things like that. And also Disney sometimes can frown upon those types of things.
Right.
As much as I do think, like, guests helping to pixie dust guests is neat, and what they do with the scavenger hunt at Fort Wilderness is absolutely incredible. It's not advised to leave things around parks because people will do that, and I know they have it with the best intentions.
Right.
They'll make goodie bags or something, and they'll hide them in the bushes, or they'll hide them at places. If those get found by cast members, they will be thrown in the garbage.
Right.
And it goes to waste. So it's one of those things. I think you're much better holding on to those. And if you strike up a conversation or in a queue or with somebody or whatever, I think that's a better way to kind of show your random act of kindness.
Right.
And pixie dust. I know that a lot of times, you want it to be anonymous, right?
Right.
Like, who's the person who pays for the table next to them and then tells everyone about it, right?
Right.
Well, you only did it to tell people about it.
Right.
So I understand that aspect, but it's okay. It's okay to take that credit and say, I just want to hand out pixie dust to people and make their day better.
Yeah.
As opposed to hiding it in a bush or something and it getting discovered and thrown away. So just kind of like, yeah, I'd say those types of things.
If you could sum up your Disney journey in 3 words, what would they be?
Main Street Magic.
That's outstanding. Boom. Done. Episode over. Actually, you know what? This is the end of Main Street Magic. Last episode ever. No. That's great. No, I'm kidding. That's
People would
awesome.
freak out.
Yeah. Well, shoot. I feel like you beat mine. I
don't know. I mean, I was trying to think of it because, like, Jeremy did give me these because I am somebody, he's very quick on his toes. I am not. There's a lot of times where I think things and then later.
Yeah, like pre-interview questions. Pretty
yeah.
much.
But there's
But
times I think.
But to be fair, any good interviewer, podcast, radio, whatever host will provide their guest with certain questions and topics prior. So it's really all we're doing. Now,
but
when I do Journey into Imagination, we do the hat and we just pull random things out of the hat and they've got to think on their toes. But they have an idea of what's coming for the most part.
Right.
And I'm not a good interviewer, so that's why I don't give them everything. I don't know what I'm doing, but yeah. So maybe mine will be better. I'm going to get a little more sentimental. It's 3 words, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I'm very thankful. Or thank you all.
Okay.
How you like them apples?
That's your Disney journey.
I'm very
In
thankful.
3 words.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm very thankful would be it. Those are 3 words that would describe it. I'm very thankful for the past 7-8 years of getting to do this and becoming pass holders and everything.
Yeah.
I mean, again, with everything that is going on, just in the world and our lives and my life over the past 8 months, like I'm the luckiest person alive, even when a lot of times I feel like I'm not, I mean, and those are the moments that I have to sit back and think. I said, Jeremy, and a lot of times, like, I'll sit back and laugh at myself. Oh my God, there's a Blue October song called I Laugh at Myself that I love more than anything. And I just totally connected those dots. Because I will sit back when I'm feeling at my absolute lowest and at my worst and really, really struggling, and I will laugh at myself because I'm like, dude, like last Saturday you went with your incredible wife to Disney for the day.
Yeah.
You went to Magic Kingdom. You saw Christmas decorations. You guys went to lunch. You went and got crappy salt and straw, which who cares? Because you love every other thing. And next weekend you're going to Jollywood Nights, and there's a lot of those things that dig me out of that hole temporarily when I really need it. And I'm very thankful.
Okay.
I was going to add for that, but then that would be 5 words, and then I would cheat.
Yeah.
That's it.
All right.
Stay tuned for after our theme song and the outro to hear the bonus listener questions. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button. You get brand new episodes every Tuesday and Friday. And as we have mentioned, so much cool, fun content coming up. We definitely want to make sure you guys get a chance to hear it. So please hit subscribe. And then, of course, Rhonda and I, we would be so very thankful to any and all of you that can take just a moment to please leave us a rating and review.
Because it helps our show grow.
That's all we've got. We'll see you real soon.
Jeremy and Rhonda are more than a little fond of Disney World, so they made this podcast to share it all with you. Reports and resorts, top 10 lists of all sorts, Main Street Magic's bringing it home for you.
All right. Well, you made it through the second interview questions
part two.
And
made it to the bonus round. Bonus questions.
Now we're going to bonus question it up.
Again, if you do not get your question answered, it will be answered on a future Q&A episode.
Yes.
Rhonda, why don't you field this one?
All right. Jackie said, how did you two meet? I may have missed it on the podcast, but I don't think so. I don't know if we've ever
truly told the story. I know we've hinted at it, and I believe maybe at some point on within social media or maybe a live video we might have told it.
Yes. So, Jackie, I have a childhood best friend, and her name is Brittany, and she was a very large Creed fan, and if anywhere, I would say probably anywhere from 40s to 50s people age-wise will know
Creed the band.
The Creed the band. Yep. And also back in the day on our computers when you had dial-up, there was these things called boards.
Yeah, they're bulletin boards. They were okay, so this would have been this actually would have been around the time. Actually, this was right before Instant Messenger, AOL Instant Messenger. Mm-hmm. Remember, you used to get a CD in your mail. Mm-hmm. You sign up for AOL email, right? And you can sign up for Instant Messenger. So this was prior to Instant Messenger either, because my Instant Messenger name was a Creed reference. And so this was 1997 that Creed came out in my own prison. So that's how far back we're going. That's why we had to be on old computers with bulletin boards, and there was a Creed Net bulletin board.
Yes. And Brittany and Jeremy met, and Jeremy was
on this bulletin board.
Jeremy was raised in Maryland, born and raised in Maryland, Damascus. I was born and raised in Florida. Brittany and Jeremy met and started a friendship. Mm-hmm. Strictly, that's all it ever was. Mm-hmm. And Brittany was talking to him one time, and he was going to visit his parents that had retired from Maryland to Surfside Beach, which was only about 6 hours from us here in Jacksonville. So she called me the day after Christmas and was like, hey, what are you doing the day after Christmas? I was like 21 years old and
this is 2002. 22. Yeah, okay. It's 2002.
And I was like, I don't know, man. I was like, I was young. I'm like, my parents, we never did anything usually. And so she was like, hey, remember that guy Jeremy I was telling you about? And I was like, yeah. She was like, he's coming to town. I want to show him a good time. You in? I was like, heck yeah, let's do this. We went to Monkey's Uncle out at the beach, I believe.
Yeah. First we went to Ruby Tuesdays and had dinner with a large group of friends.
Yeah.
Because they used to do the buy one, get one drinks. Mm-hmm. Which, again, when you're in your early 20s and you're drinking, man, that's a steal.
Is.
Like, seriously. So we went there first, and then we went out to Monkey's Uncle at Jack's Beach, which had karaoke.
Yep. And that is really how we met, and the rest is truly history.
You're not going to finish the story.
You're
not going to finish karaoke story?
I mean, you can go ahead and take it.
I do think I think our story is the coolest. I do. Like, I mean, it's Hallmark movie in a way, in some ways, you know. So Brittany and I became friends. She was like a sister to me. Her, and at the time her fiance came up and visited me in Baltimore. We actually did meet in person one time, hung out and all. I actually flew and met her in Vegas one time for another person's wedding that was on the CreedNet bulletin board that we had never met in person. We got invited to her. Brittany got invited to her wedding because they were much closer. And then Brittany said, you want to come out and be my plus one? And we went out, we stayed at Excalibur. I remember, like, went to the wedding. It was the coolest thing. Had always been big Creed fans. And that's what brought us together. And so we're all together at Monkey's Uncle that night, and everybody's getting ready to leave. It was a big group of folks, including Brittany. I was going to crash on Brittany's couch that night. And Rhonda and I were hitting it off. And I was like, man, I don't want to go. And you were like, well, I'll take you home. I said, great. So it was like, we'll hang out for a while. So I had already done karaoke that night because I used to do karaoke a lot. I would usually get up and do Humpty Dance or Baby Got Back, or Firewater Burn or Pretty When I'm Drunk from Bloodhound Gang.
Yep.
And so I got up, I did Baby Got Back, I did Humpty Dance. Rhonda and Brittany are on stage. We're having a great time. And so I'm like, I don't want this to end. So Rhonda says, I'll take you home. I said, okay. So we're sitting there, night's winding down a little bit. And there's this guy standing in the corner. Again, we're early 20s. We're 22 years old. This guy's probably in his 50s, maybe. And he's looking at me. I'm in an unfamiliar place. I'm in Jacksonville, at the beaches. And I'm just like, what is this guy looking at? And he gets up and he starts walking towards us.
And I'll stop you here, too, because anytime I would go out, I always wore rings on.
So people wouldn't hit on you?
Both of my fingers, showing that I might look married.
I did not. I was single and ready to mingle. So this guy starts walking up and I'm just thinking, oh God, like here's this girl I just met. I like her. I'm not a confrontational type. I have no idea what's going to happen. Does he know I'm some Yankee from up north? Like what is going on? And he walks up and he looks me dead in the eyes and he says, I just wanted to let you know you're here with the most beautiful woman I have ever seen. Without a beat, no hesitation. For some reason I blurted out, that's why I married her. Like that's nuts.
Yeah.
And within that was 2002. I moved here in 2005. We got married in 2006. So within 4 years of me saying the statement, that's why I married her, to someone I had met for the first night ever, we were getting married. And here we are 19 years later, almost in April.
Yep.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Even cooler, I think, I had seen Creed 20 times. Never, and Brittany has seen them, I don't know how many times, 10, something like that. Never once did we get to see Creed together until a month ago.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Ugh, I can't go on with that one. It was a good show because of the stuff that I'm going through. Brittany herself with some things. It was so needed. And we got to like stand next to each other and belt out Creed. Freaking amazing. All right, let's move on to the next one. Lucas asked, and I will say Lucas emailed me personally, and I do appreciate it, and just said, hey, I want to email you. I had a question, if it's cool. I said, whatever happened with Diz Dudes and the Capture the Magic Network, was that a business decision? Yes, it was. It was a business decision. We had gotten to a point with the network where we were putting out 5 shows a week, one a day. And one thing I will never forget is we actually had a review, I think, on all 3 of them. All 3 shows that said, what's up? I heard 3 different reviews of Regal Eagle Smokehouse this week on the 3 different shows.
Right.
It's like, that person's right. Like it's we're not really forming stuff. And then we just started to look at things like, all right, well, the whole reason we formed the network was to grow.
Right.
And we all did that.
Yep.
So we kind of thought it was time to go back on our own. Gave us full control over anything and everything that we were doing from the business standpoint. Gave us an opportunity to start our own Patreon. It gave us an opportunity to, create our own content and put it out in the way that we wanted without having to converse with other folks because, we wanted the ownership and control and all. And so that was the decision. It was, hey, we want the opportunity to do this. We want the opportunity to forge, partnerships with folks like Mouse Dining and MEI-Travel, to do these types of things and not have it split.
Right.
I mean, really, and so that's where, we made the decision and I sat down and had the conversation, said, this is what we'd like to do. That was 2021. No. Yes. That was January of 2021, I believe.
Wow.
And so, they're doing fabulous and growing. We're doing fabulous and growing. And so I think everything that was the initial idea worked.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that was really what it came down to. And then as that go, people are going to fall apart. And so we didn't do Diz Dudes again. But we're all still around and we're all still kicking and enjoying the parks and all. So yeah. So, but no, thank you, Lucas. I do appreciate that question. Hey guys, just wanted to give a quick note before we move on to this final question and segment. We're going to be talking about some adult topics specifically related to alcohol and addiction. If you're listening with kids or if this topic might be uncomfortable for you, you might want to go ahead and skip the end of this or just come back and listen to it later. We appreciate you being here with us and hope this conversation resonates with those who might find it helpful. All right, we are going to wrap up our bonus listener questions from our good friend and brother from another mother, a major part of Main Street Magic. He and his lovely wife, Amy, of course, Truck Frazier, who usually likes to have the silly questions.
He does.
Went a little deep. So, and it's a two-parter. I guess I'll just say both of them and we get into it. Chuck said, how's your life changed since you stopped drinking? How has Rhonda's life changed as well? Do you want to start? You want me to start? I want to be
still changing.
Yeah, it's still changing. So I've done everything I can to be as transparent as possible throughout this whole journey because I wasn't for 25 years. I was not transparent. I didn't talk about my addiction. I didn't share about it. If you knew me well, if you were my wife, you knew about it. You argued over it. You almost got divorced over it at times. Everything's changed, but it's in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
So and I want to be and if you plus stop right now, I'm not going to be offended. First of all, I'll never know. Second, I will not be offended because this part's not going to be for everyone. It's just not. If you want to keep listening, please do so. I would appreciate it. And I'm trying to be transparent because we are very lucky that we have built a platform. Mm-hmm. No matter how big or small it is, I think that when you purposely build a platform like that, it's your duty to help people if you think you have the means. And that's what I'm trying to do. And that's the reason I decided to be open about it and transparent about it. And I'm going to get super transparent about it now because I hope that it helps just one person. I have had several people that have reached out to me that have started to get sober because of me.
Wow.
Which is amazing. I got a good sober buddy right now on Instagram. Of course, I'm not going to name any names or anything, who we're leaning on each other a lot. And we're messaging a lot and, we're sharing things. And we seem to be on a very, very similar journey because everybody's journey is very different. Mm-hmm. And if the next couple minutes, whatever, helps one person, whether it's you or it's somebody that's why I'm going to do it. If we say all the time, we do things at Disney so that you can learn, we can learn about it to help you. We do things at Disney so you don't have to. We say that sometimes.
Right.
We'll waste our money so you don't have to.
Right.
We'll go do a dining thing or go to whatever so you don't have to. And I feel like kind of that's what I'm doing now. Like I'm going through this in the hopes of helping other people. It's obviously helping myself. It's helping our family. The past 8 months have been the hardest thing that I've ever done.
Yeah.
You learn a lot about yourself, for one. So I learned just how bad my addiction was, which will change your life drastically.
Yeah.
Because you look back and, he said earlier, I think it was Kelsey, YOLO, you only live once, right? Move to Orlando. You only live once. You don't get it back.
Right.
And I lost a lot. And and these are the things that I started to learn because when you're in active addiction, it controls your entire life and it controls every aspect of it. It doesn't just control you making a decision to go to the store and get some vodka. It doesn't just control you sitting and drinking that vodka. It doesn't just take up time and take memories when you drink too much vodka and you don't remember it the next day. It consumes every moment from the time you wake up until the time you pass out at night. And it still does. That's the part you don't really expect. And that's where you start to learn so much about yourself. Because here's the thing. I know I'm all over the place with this, and I've been thinking about this a lot over the past 24 hours and how I would answer it. And I'm not answering it in any of that way. I had it ready to go. I should have just recorded myself then. So the number one thing that changes, and I know this, not because I feel I'm experiencing it, but I know it. My life is exponentially better. It doesn't feel like it at all in many ways. What I have felt and seen from it is that my skin looks better.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's all I got right now. I don't sleep better yet. I've gained 25 pounds because the cravings of sweets and sugars and stuff have not stopped. The anxiety's different because when I was in active addiction, the anxiety was based around alcohol. Mm-hmm. You know, it was based around going, I'm anxious today. This thing happened. What do I do? Well, I'm going to medicate with alcohol.
Correct.
So the anxiety changes because now the anxiety is, how do I medicate? I don't have alcohol. So what you start to learn is that, and this is why so many people get addicted, whether it's alcohol, it's drugs, it could be it could be gambling. You know, it could be anything. Addiction runs deep. It runs in many different, ugly ways. And so when you get sober, you learn that you don't know how to do anything on your own anymore. Because alcohol controlled everything.
Right.
This sounds so bad, and it's the first time I'll probably saying it out loud. It's like losing your best friend. You know, you think of something that was there for you when times were good, when times were bad, when you're stressed, when you're celebrating on Christmas, on holidays, on birth, everything. That's what you went to, and therefore that's why it was okay. You wake up the next morning and you think, I did it again. I overdid it again. Dang it. What do I do? Oh, you know what? I drink again because it goes away. Even if it's only temporary, it's your medicine. It's your coping skill. And it's the only one you know. You don't know how to cope with everyday life anymore. And the first couple months were real dreary and they were real bad.
Yeah.
I did, and I would suggest this for anyone who's having issues. I got on medication. And when about another 2 months was not good. Mm-hmm. It took a couple weeks until I started getting some side effects. It was tearing my stomach to pieces. I still wasn't sleeping. It was bad. It was bad. I still wasn't sleeping well. And then there was like a moment I woke up and I was like, oh my God, it's working. And I was happy and I felt good. And the thoughts of alcohol were still there. Right.
Right.
But it felt different. I started to wake up every morning, and there's a thing in recovery. You say, I'm not drinking with you today. And I started to wake up going, I know that. I can tell you for a fact. Well, not a fact. I can tell you with as much confidence that I can have, I will never have a sip of alcohol again.
Okay.
The easiest part of being sober is not physically drinking because nobody's forcing it down your throat.
Right.
But you think that's going to be the hardest. The hardest part is learning who you are and how to cope with every single thing that comes your way. I've always had high anxiety. Mm-hmm. I have always had bouts of OCD, of depression. And that's why I turned to alcohol in the first place. When I was, my parents shunned alcohol very much. My dad drank in college. He lived a college life. When my brother went into 8th grade, which up in Maryland was middle school, my dad quit drinking at all. And he never had much. I don't even remember my dad drinking, but I know like they'd have parties and I do remember there'd be like Coors Light in the fridge, and I never drank it as a child or anything. I don't think I drank till the first time till I was probably 17, 18 or something. But he said, I'm going to stop drinking because I now have influential children, and I don't want to be a bad role model at all. So he just quit. My mom occasionally would maybe have a glass of wine or something. I went to college for a semester, and it changed everything because I went and I drank a fifth of vodka a night for a semester. I failed out on the drive up. My dad said, if you fail one class, I'm not paying anymore, because my parents paid for me to go to college because they're about two of the best parents you could have. And so I messed up, and you would think that would have been a time, right? It wasn't. And I've had a lot of those moments throughout the last 25 years that were luckily never a rock bottom moment that other people see, but I also learned everybody's got a different rock bottom, you know? Rock bottom doesn't have to be getting a DUI. Rock bottom doesn't have to be, you know, drunk driving and God forbid, injuring someone or killing someone. You know, rock bottom doesn't have to be, you know, going off and hitting your kids. Or like it can be so many things. And for me, my rock bottom was just, I had enough, I think. And I knew that if I didn't stop, I would die from it.
Right.
I haven't gained the clarity or the energy, all the things you read about. And I'm not saying this to deter. I'm just saying this to let people know what you can expect if this is something you decide you need to, or if you know someone going through it. Because I can't, until now, I haven't said most of these words out loud because in my brain they sound silly.
It's not silly.
I know, but there's people that are fighting like real battles, that are dying from cancer and disease, and they're homeless, or they whatever, they have nothing. I've got everything, and I feel silly saying that this ridiculous liquid substance has all the control over my life, but I can't help it. And so what I'm now going through.
But each person's battle is not the same, and
I know.
You always can think, just like, you know, you think you have it worse. Well, someone's always got it worse. And I understand that, but you're going through what you're going through, and that's hard for you, and it's not silly.
I know. I'm learning to accept it more. And what's happening lately now that I'm finding, because some things actually started showing up on social media, some ads for some stuff, is I'm learning a lot about dopamine and the way the body produces it. And people who suffer from mental health issues, including anxiety and depression, which I've already got, already can tend to have lower dopamine levels. When you're an alcoholic, it drops them even lower, and you crave that alcohol because during that moment it raises your dopamine, right? So again, you're medicating, you're coping, and that's how you're doing it. So the only way you know how to feel like yourself is to drink again.
Right.
About the past 3 to 4 weeks, I have hit a major roadblock, speed bump. I've taken a dive. And as I started to research, I don't know if everybody always has dopamine, but there's no way to measure it. Like, there's not like a test. You can't go, Doc, here's my blood. What's my level at? 4 out of what? Great, you know. Or that's bad. Let me do something. So I have gone through, because of all the symptoms that I'm experiencing, that I have very, very low dopamine. I'm constantly tired and fatigued, both mentally and physically. I find I'm not sleeping well at all. I'm moody. Rhonda can attest to that. I'm moving slower. There's a lot going on, and you know, reading through a lot of things are normal. A lot of things, you know, and I'm treating these the best I can at the moment, because my biggest fear is to bring on another addiction. You know, so I'm trying to be very careful with medication. So I went through hims.com and was prescribed Wellbutrin in certain doses, and I'm able to keep in touch with someone there. I'm struggling really hard right now, and I'm working on some supplements. I'm working on some things. I understand that there are probably some things I could do immediately to help, but it's not the way I work. if I had even 5 people who listen to this podcast sitting in front of me right now, I couldn't say any of these words. I know that in the future, this is the best thing possible, but as an addict, because I don't know that other people could or would feel this way, like, it's really hard and about brings me to tears to think of like Kaylin's wedding night. Like, I can't toast with a glass of champagne like everybody else. That's weird. You know, and I think at the same, you know, our best friends in the world, Amy, can't she can't come to Kaylin's wedding and eat the bread we put on the table because she can't eat gluten. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so I try and think of it that way. Like, again, there's so many people that can't have things, you know? But I don't know how to deal with it. Like, you know, I threw myself to the wolves. I know everybody keeps saying they're really proud of me. I'm really, really proud of me. Like, I mean, within 2 weeks, you know, we were doing things that I didn't know how to do without alcohol. And I just said, I have to do them. Because in my mind, if I went 6 months and locked myself in a house and poured every single thing of liquor down the drain and didn't tip myself, then after 6 months, if I put myself in that situation, I was going to relapse in a heartbeat.
Right.
I thought by throwing myself to the wolves and just taking
did.
it head on, that's the way I was just going to get through this. And it's obviously different for everyone. So you should talk to someone or a doctor or, you know, whoever it may be in your life to make sure that you're doing that part the right way. So long story short, Chuck, how has my life changed? I mean, it's changed in every single aspect. And while it might not feel like it's all for the good now, I know it will be. Because I might not get to drink champagne at Kaylin's wedding. But short of getting run over by a bus, I get to be there now. Right? So whatever.
And you get to remember everything.
Bring on the apple cider. Bring on the and
the gluten-free bread for Amy.
Gluten-free bread we will have for Amy. We will have the gluten-free bread for you there, Amy. And we will have plenty of alcoholic and non-alcoholic beverages. Because another thing...
if Kaylin wants it.
Of course, if she wants it. And
she might be like, no.
I have sat down and I have had conversations with the girls.
You have?
Well, I mean, I had before I even got sober, you know, before.
Yeah.
I remember coming back from your guys' birthday. I had a major sit down that Monday. This would have been July of 2023. And I sat down with both of the girls. I almost had a panic attack that day and passed out. I was so strung up on everything. I was I had so much anxiety, and I had to sit down with both of them. I just wanted them to know that this wasn't normal. That the way that I was isn't normal, and I don't want them to be that way. And if they want to drink alcohol, they can do that. They're going to be grown adults at some point. I can't control them. But again, if anything, I hope they can learn, and I hope that they're not predisposed to what I was, because I know that alcoholism and all can be genetic. I don't know of any of it in my family history to the extent that I would end up suffering. And so...
but it is in mine.
Well, yeah, but...
My aunt killed herself.
Oh, I know. But we don't share that. And so... Yeah, it's something, you know. I feel like what's hard, I think, so much about it is everything that you go, for the most part, to research and read are people that I understand they still struggle with it every day. I'm gonna struggle with this for the rest of my life,
right?
But most of them are not within that first year. So a lot of it for them is a lot of rainbows and sunshine on the exterior. You know, it's Rob Lowe saying he's been sober for 30 years and how great his life is. It's, you know, it's celebrities and all these people. And then, you know, Matthew Perry comes along.
Right.
I've got a quote printed out right here in front of my desk that I look at every day from Matthew Perry, and it's heart-wrenching because of what happened. and what happened in the end with his addiction, and it took his life,
Right.
and people took advantage of that from him and all. And so, you see all these things, and immediately it's like, when you stop drinking, you're gonna get more clarity. You're gonna sleep better. You're gonna lose weight. You're gonna do this, and this. What they don't tell you is you don't know when that's coming. You don't
Right.
know how it's coming. You don't know if it's coming.
Right.
So every day I'm learning more. And yeah, I mean, right now it's hard to get out of my head when I don't have anything to get me out of it. You also, coming out of alcohol, you have to learn to find the joy in things that you used to find the joy in. I don't think I told you this. The first time we went to Disney and came home, I was scared to death because I didn't have the same joy. I didn't know how to enjoy Disney anymore.
Oh.
So yeah, it's fine. I didn't know if I'd find the joy in Disney anymore, and I'm not
Have
finding.
you?
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
We have been having some of the best trips ever. I don't know why I keep feeling like I need to explain myself, but I do. And I think it's because of how well I hit it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and I've said this before, like, it doesn't matter what level you're at. You could drink once a month and decide you want to get sober. That's okay. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. You could also be at the level I was and decide you want to get sober. So,
Right.
this isn't saying, I'm not saying this like, well, I want you to know why. It's just hard for me not to explain some things, and I'm embarrassed by it. I'm so embarrassed by it, but I feel like I have to be honest, that I have to say some of these things now. Like, now's the time, and maybe it's a natural thing. I didn't do AA. I chose not to do AA. And the reason I finally made it public, because I tried getting sober many times. Not so much where I said I'm never going to drink again, but where I
Right.
said I'm going to take a break or I'm going to do better.
Right.
Never worked.
Yep.
And a lot of that reason was because I think I kept it so close to the vest. I would say something to you. I would usually say something to Lucy, Matt, and Gary.
Right.
And God love you all. I think it was easier for you to forgive me when I didn't live up to it. As much as I'm sure it frustrated you all.
Mm-hmm.
It starts to formulate a version of yourself that is true, but it still is a part of it. And that's what alcohol was. So even if you met me, even if I didn't have a drink that day, I still had an addict's personality. I was much more outgoing. I am an introvert.
Yes.
I am heavily introverted,
Mm-hmm.
which is shocking to a lot of people. And so now I just want to say, if please, like Rhonda said, come up. We love talking to you all in the parks. We love meeting listeners and people that follow on social and all. Like, we absolutely love it more than anything. If I ever seem a little off or a little whatever, that's why. I'm trying to really learn who I am. I'm trying to relearn social skills. It's basically mental rehab.
Right.
If you had a surgery, you go through physical rehab. You have to relearn to do some things sometimes. I'm having to relearn to do them all from a mental standpoint. And the other thing that I would least like to give an explanation, and we're going to let Rhonda answer, and then we will wrap this up. And I do apologize it went on, but I needed this. I think Rhonda needed this. I'm sorry for not always being open. It's hard. It's very, very hard, especially for... I know someone who loves me more than anything, and I don't ever want to disappoint you, and that's how I feel. And when you do listen to some of these episodes, and hopefully some of the things I'm starting to take, if things do seem sporadic sometimes, that's kind of where my headspace is right now. So if any of the episodes seem a little more off the rails than normal, it's because I'm trying to relearn how to keep track of my own train of thought. And so a lot of times I will start something, and halfway through I don't remember how I started it. And without a doubt, I understand that I've done damage to my body, to my brain, that probably can't recover. Doing the things that I can to recover the parts that I can. But that's really, really hard too.
Right.
Because you just feel lost. I can have an idea. I can walk out the front door and I don't remember what the idea was. But dang, can I remember what Alex looks like? The fact that you said is my best friend Alex, that he gave you, I think, a cupcake and like 2 ice cream bars. Like, I can remember all those details very, very well. And I'm picking things back up. But right now, I am in a headspace that is really difficult. And I'm giving my all and I'm doing my best. And I'm not going to let the podcast suffer. I'm not going to let the content suffer. I'm going to continue to give it everything I got. Y'all are along for the journey, like it or not. If you don't like it, you can unsubscribe and I wouldn't be offended. There's no means to turn, as we said before, there's no means to turn this into some therapeutic, deep dive, emotional show. We're going to continue to be lighthearted. We're going to continue to be fun. And so when things like this do come up, we will address them. But we're going to give it our all, and I'm going to give it my all. And all you're going to get is a better product. And you're going to get a better Jeremy. Even if he's not there yet, he will be there eventually. I don't know when, but it will come at some point. And so thank you all for listening. Thank you for the support. I owe it to myself. I owe it to all of you to continue to improve, to progress, to give you whatever help I can. If anybody you know is struggling, just, you can only do so much. I am happy to talk with anyone. A phone call or a Zoom call, probably not going to be my wheelhouse, but I am happy to email, text, in some other ways. If anybody, whatever, but if it's yourself or it's somebody you know and love, they have to be ready. You can work to help nudge them along. But if I don't help someone else, then why am I doing this? I know I'm doing it for myself and I know I'm doing it for my family, but as weird as it sounds, like I feel like it should be bigger than that. We found that we finally had a calling to start Main Street 16, and help give kids the world. And now we're going to move on and we're going to, work with Lou and the Dream Team Project and we're going to help make a wish and we're going to continue to help as much as we can. I'm majorly thinking of what can I do to create something to help people in addiction or, theme park addiction, whatever it may be, because they're out there and nobody talks about it.
Right.
It's alcohol is in your face everywhere, but nobody talks about the dark side.
Right.
And I that's one other thing that I do want people to know. I will not be offended in the slightest if we meet up in Disney and you run into us at Rose and Crown and I'm drinking a Heineken Zero and you want to get yourself a flight of bourbons, go for it. Please. I don't want to impede on other people. I don't want other people's lives to have to change or feel like they have to change around me. I will let you know if I'm uncomfortable. I appreciate more than anything the people that have asked. That's all I got to say about that. I think that's it. I thank you all who did stick around and listen. Love all of you very much. You're part of this family. I wouldn't be here without y'all. Wouldn't be here without my brother, without my family, without Rhonda, without the girls. So thank you. Hope this helps you a little bit because as hard as things have been for me, you've had to just sit by and watch and not know. And I do apologize for that. Again, at some point I just needed this forum and here it is. So how has your life changed since I quit drinking? Other than you pretty much quit drinking as well, for the most part.
Yeah, I knew, I knew there was always kind of some sort of little, I'm going to say little problem. I do not think I realized how big it was until you did quit.
Mm-hmm. I started to open Pandora's box a little bit with you.
You did. I was still kind of, when he threw himself to the wolves, I was still kind of drinking just a little bit, but I wouldn't, because I kind of felt bad for him. But I never wanted it like he did. I never cared. I might be like, oh, I'll have one.
At any given time, somebody could have said, Rhonda, we're not going to drink Friday night. And you would have been like, okay. And you would just not would have.
Correct.
Now, they could have said, hey, we're going to go out and drink and have a good time. And you would do that too. But
Correct.
yes, if somebody told me, hey, we're going to all get together Friday night, but we decided we're not going to drink, I wouldn't have known what to do with myself. So, yeah. So you've always had that control point of it.
So, with all that being said and my life changing as far as in the more I learned with Jeremy and realizing how bad it was for him, I was like, well, I mean, first of all, I don't need it. Second of all, I don't want it. I don't want that because it's so bad for him. Just to throw this out there too, because a lot of times people think, like they didn't know you had a problem, and then I think they get concerned, and I'm like, listen, he was just annoying. He never was physically, mentally, verbally
anything abusive. There were no DUIs involved.
Nothing.
There were no accidents. There were no.
He would snore.
I would snore a lot,
and you'd just be annoying, and I'd just get frustrated, and I just kind of just. I mean, even Kaylin was like, do you consider yourself sober? And I'm like, no, because I didn't have a problem. And I if I need to, if Jeremy's like, hey, we really need to review this, can you have this drink? I would.
And you'll have one, but you'll be done.
But I could be done.
Right.
I don't know if I said this out loud to you, but my friend that used to work with us moved back to Mississippi, and we went as just girls. And I was kind of like,
yeah, you went to Ember and Iron. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Oh, when was this? Where was I?
I mean, I told you, but it was over at it was the place where you're going to Nocatee, and it's over the bridge. I can't remember, but it was when Alex was moving back to Mississippi.
Okay, yeah, I got you now. I was thinking of a different time.
And I was kind of excited because I was like, it's just girls, and I could totally have a couple of drinks. I saw 2 on the menu. I went ahead and had them. I drank my water. I ate a meal. I drove home. I was completely fine. In fact, I was a little sad because I didn't feel almost like buzzed or anything. And then later I got home and my head started hurting, and I just was like, and that is for me when I was like, I'm done. I don't need it.
Yeah.
I don't want it. It's not like I want to go and have a drink and enjoy. I would love to have a mocktail. I don't think I realized how much I really enjoyed beer.
Mm-hmm.
The
taste
taste
we've been
of
drinking
it,
a lot of non-alcoholic beers lately.
because I would always drink like 4 or 5 to try to get that buzz,
Yeah,
and then
like
I'd feel
20.
full, and I just didn't like it. So a non-alcoholic, I enjoy it because I can have one, and I feel good. So that's where I kind of was like, all right, I'm done. I don't need it. I don't want it unless he makes me work. And I'm like, and then there's been times we've been in Disney and I'm like, I don't want to. Do I
It's been
have
about
to?
2 months since you've had a drink, probably.
Probably. I don't know. Because I don't have that.
Yep.
So I don't know. I know that one of the times that also made me also realize when I said, yeah, I don't remember when the last drink I had, and you rattled it off just like that when I did.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, oh God.
I can tell you what you had in the order you had them.
So and my life is, and all with this saying, my life has changed for the better. It's amazing. I love our life. Our girls, Rachel reached out and actually said that she, as an outsider looking in, could see that we have a better relationship.
Yeah, we're happier.
And that
we're always happy.
Oh yeah.
Just saying, we're happier.
But that that blew me away.
Yeah.
And when I said something to the girls that Rachel said that, they said, well, yeah, y'all don't argue at all.
Yeah.
And I've told many clients this, that if you were like, you can have your husband, this amazing life with your husband, or you can have alcohol, I'd never touch alcohol again.
Yeah.
And I truly don't have a desire to. I just have a desire to enjoy life with you and learn new things. And I'm truly happy because this is the first time in both of our lives together that we've done this, and we really didn't know each other without drinking. And I was a little fearful.
We never knew each other without drinking.
I was a little fearful that you wouldn't love me or you wouldn't want to be with me, and you'd be like, all right, I'm out. And
I think
glad that you do.
The hard part, I would think, for you is that you are almost the exact same person drinking or not drinking, because you're happy-go-lucky, you're so friendly, you're everything. I'm a very, very different person. And so I feel bad for you, because that was more my fear, was that you've been married to this guy for 18 years. You're about to kind of be married to someone a little bit different. So, but now you're really stuck with me because you don't have an excuse. That would have always been a great excuse. One day you're just like, you know what, I'm done. You drink too much, I'm out. Now you got nothing, so you're stuck. That's it. And everybody would be upset because that would be the end of the podcast. But we'll wrap it up. Thank you all. Thanks, this whole
Chuck.
thing. Yeah, thank you, Chuck. No, seriously, thank you. And you, obviously, the girls and all, have been so major in this. Chuck and Amy have been huge. Mm-hmm. And again, I don't say that to them enough. Chuck checks in on me all the time. And even if I'm not always the quickest to respond or sometimes respond at all, I apologize. I am weird. I'm messed up. I'm trying to get better, but know how much I appreciate you. All of our wonderful friends. I would not be here without Lucy and Gary as well. So I just have to absolutely thank them more than anything as well. And everybody else out there, you know, I appreciate the support, whether we know each other in person, whether you've just sent me a message online or whatever. It's on the checklist of things that are getting me through this. So thank you all. Thank you, Rhonda. I love you very, very much. I appreciate you. And thanks for putting up with me for so long. Let's keep at it.
All my life, been running from a pain in me, a feeling I don't understand is holding me down. So rain on me, underwater, all I am, getting harder, a heavy weight I carry around. Today, I don't have to fall apart, I don't have to be afraid, I don't have to let the damage consume me, my shadow see through me, 'cause fear in itself will reel you in and spit you out over and over again. Believe in yourself and you will walk. Now fear in itself will use you up and break you down like you were never enough. Yeah, I used to fall, now I get back up. I'm up here, I'm looking at the way down there, and I'm staring through the I don't care. It's staring back at me. Yeah. The beauty is, I'm learning how to face my beats, starting now to find some peace, oh, and set myself free. Yeah. Today, I don't have to fall apart, I don't have to be afraid, I don't have to let the damage consume me and my shadow see through me, 'cause fear in itself will reel you in and spit you out over and over again. Believe in yourself and I don't have to be afraid. Get back up, get ask for more. If you're bitter still, ask him to help you